you for subscribing and thank you for liking the videos. I really appreciate your support and thank you for your positive feedback that you've been sending through. I really appreciate and I'm excited to have a conversation with you. Today I'm going to discuss one of the most difficult topics, and this is about coping with loss and grief. In one time or another in our lives, we lose something. Maybe you've lost your loved ones, maybe you've lost your job, maybe you've lost a relationship that you have been working for and trying to nurture for some couple of years. So how do you cope with this loss when it happens? 24 years ago, I lost my mother, who was my only parent that I had lived to know. She used to take good care of me, and I had seen her suffer to basically put food on our table. And before she died, I also saw her go through pain because she was very sick. I will quote the words of one great author called Riemann of 1996, and he says that the expectation that we can be immersed in suffering and loss daily and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to be able to walk through water without getting wet. There is no good way or bad way to grieve, but there are healthy, positive, and appropriate ways that we can use for us to go through grief and loss in our lives. Loss is universal, and because it's universal, we experience loss in our lives. Either we lose an item that we love so much, or we lose a loved one, or we lose what we love doing, and that's basically losing our jobs or losing an opportunity to particularly do business. Loss occurs when something that is of value, such as a person, an object, or a situation is missing. And the loss may be an actual loss, and this is where even other people are able to recognize that a loss has happened. So we have what we call the actual loss. We have the physical loss, and this is basically where you lose your property. You can lose your body part. For example, your leg is being amputated, or you've lost sight, sound, or even the sense of smell. And then we have what we call the psychological or emotional loss, and this is basically where our self-image is altered, okay? And this can lead to perceived or psychological loss of self-image. And then we have what we call the apparent loss. Apparent loss is what is also known as the perceived loss, and this is the loss apparently that is felt by the person, but is often intangible to others. So others may not be able to feel it, may not be able to see it, but you, the person who's gone through the loss, you are able to you experience that. And then we have the anticipated loss, and this is where, for example, a person is aware that the loss is probable, but has yet to take place. For example, a terminally ill patient who's been sick, you are expecting that one day this person may die, and so that is part of what we call anticipatory loss, anticipated loss. Or for example, you're aging, you know that you're going to age, and as you age, you will move to retirement, and as you move to retirement, you are going to lose your job, and so that is anticipated loss. Now when it comes to the anticipated loss, this is something that is easier to deal with. The other key thing we want to look at today again is, what is grief? Now grief, we are saying that grief is the emotion that people feel when they experience a loss. Individuals are highly unique and they respond differently to loss. based on their experiences. Usually grief occurs in response to the loss of someone or something that is valuable to us. Now, grief is basically a natural reaction to a loss. Let me make this clear, that grief is not sickness. And so, when you're grieving, you don't need to go and look for medication. It's not sickness, it's just a natural process that we all go through as a response to a loss that we've experienced in our lives. It could be a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, or of a particular event in your life. And you are likely to go through the grieving process. And so, please let's take note of that. We have several factors that influence our grieving process. And some of these factors that influence our grieving process include the following. One of the factors is personality. This is the individual and personal characteristics. As in, how is your personality? There is someone who, when they're grieving, they have this personality of just keeping calm and keeping quiet. The other factor is the issue of culture and community traditions. For example, when you're talking about the philosophy of life in this, and then we have the kind of loss. Is it a sudden loss or is it expected loss? And what is the intensity of the loss? Again, the kind of loss will determine or influence our grieving process. The other one is a gender. Male and female respond differently to a loss. Okay? And then we have the support mechanism. What support mechanism or services do you have in place to support you during the loss process? Okay? So the support mechanism will influence our grieving process. And then the most important one again is the issue of religion and spirituality. This has got to do with faith. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, religion has basically set support mechanisms to support you in your loss process. Right? For Christians, they'll tell them you need to pray when you're going through loss. You need to trust in God. You need to have faith. Okay? Muslim also, they have their own way to deal with loss. And so the religion and spirituality also influence our grieving process. And then the other one is the access to experts and professionals. Are you able to access professional services? For example, are you able to get in touch and afford to talk to a professional counseling psychologist? What support mechanisms do you have? All that will influence and affect our grieving processes. Much for watching. I really appreciate your company in this conversation of coping with loss and grief. I could not exhaust everything to do with loss and grief in this one video. And so, let's keep the conversation moving. Leave me an email, drop me a message on my WhatsApp line, and we will keep talking. If you need help from professional psychologists and you don't know how to start, also feel free to reach out and I will connect you to some people who can be able to offer you deep support. Thank you very much, and let's stay safe and take care of our health. See you.